Okay, advice first or the horror story? I think we'll start with the horror story. Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and topics today are the horror story. We will start with that. Then dealing on forums, buying and selling watches on forums, and third, I want to sell my Baltic. Okay, those are the topic for today's. Let's start with the horror story. I've read this on a forum, and there was a guy, and he wanted to sell a Rolex Oyster Perpetual 39. And received some messages, and one person was very interested in that watch. And the person said, you know what, I perhaps buy your watch, but I want to check it under broad daylight in person in my hands. Okay, and this is reasonable request, I think. And so the seller agreed to that and gave the person his address, his home address, which is first mistake, I would say. And the next day the guy showed up, and they sat together in the kitchen, and the guy checked the watch, everything, checked this beautiful wrist, put it on the wrist, and everything was fine. He wasn't strange in a way, he was pretty normal, his appearance was pretty normal. And then, at the end, the guy said, you know what, probably I buy the watch, but I have another appointment and I wanted to check that watch too, and then I'll get in contact with you again, okay? And the seller was a little bit disappointed because so close to make that deal, he thought. And he expected that he would never see the other person again. But next day, he received another message from that person, and the person said, yeah, I'm very close to buy your watch. The other watch wasn't so great, and I'd love to show up another time and check it another time. Only a few minutes, and I will bring the cash. And if I still like the watch so much, then I will buy the watch instantly, and I will pay you, and everything's fine, okay? And the seller agreed to that again. The person showed up the second time. They sat in the kitchen together again, and the person didn't put off his coat, but the seller thought, okay, it's a quick transaction maybe. And the seller checked again the watch and the buyer checked again the watch, put it on the wrist, and then he stood up and ran out of the kitchen, out of the yard, out of the street. And the seller followed him a few meters, but then he realized if a guy is willing to do such an operation in close combat range, then it's not a good idea to stop him violently on the road. And so he called the police, reported the story on that forum. And yeah, what can I say? This is not really refined. This is a rather brutal and stupid robbery, I would say. I mean, obviously, the first attempt was to spy out the physical condition of the opponent, but my question is why he hasn't robbed then the watch during the first attempt. It's really a little bit strange, and so I wouldn't say this is a masterpiece of crime. This is rather very basic and brutal robbery. Which leads us now to the forum. I hope you're still with me after that story. And yeah, now we can discuss. This was a request of some viewers how I personally deal on forums, how I buy and sell watches on forums. But first, let's go quickly through the reasons why you could and should and maybe want buy and sell on forums. First reason, it's for free. If you are a little bit like me, rather a flipper of watches, then your eBay bill would sum up to thousands a year if you only trade on eBay. And so, this is the first advantage on forums. They are for free. And the second is that you are in a more trustful environment. You are together with other watch people and not in a huge crowd on eBay with civilians. So I think this is pleasant. This is a pleasant environment to make good watch deals. The downside is that the prices are rather high. Sometimes very often you see the prices 10% under the price for the new watch, for a used watch. Doesn't make any sense, doesn't lead to a deal. And so, this is the downside. But okay, let's assume you have made your decision, you want a certain watch, or you have a seller for your watch, and now you ask yourself, how can I make a safe and secure deal with that person? And the answer is very simple. You have to check his reputation. And again, this is really the crucial point on forums, is the reputation. And the good news here is that it's so easy. you click his profile, and then you have the entire content of that person in front of you. You can see the date when he signed up, and if he's on that board for, let's say, 1 week, then you don't want to make a deal with him, right? And if he's there for the last 10 years, then great for you, great for him, of course. And if you see then 10 years on the board, on the forum, and he has, let's say, 1,000 posts, great. Then you read some of those posts, of course, because you don't want to be in contact with a lunatic or simply an unpleasant bitch. I mean, there are some people, they're of course not criminals, but they are hard to handle and super complicated and complaining all the time. So you want a constructive, positive person and who is part of that community. And you can, as I said, you can check this very, very easy with his profile and his posts. And this can lead to really, really easy transactions. A rather extreme example is the German Uhrforum, Uhr is the German word for watch. And the payment of choice there is PayPal, family, and friends. Really, I'm not kidding. It's you send the money to that other guy with no security at all. And this is, of course, we know each other. I have there some guys. And I've bought 3 or 4 watches from them, and I really know that they're decent and honorable and realistic thinking persons, and so there's no problem paying PayPal, family, and friends. And important to know is that nearly every watch forum has some sort of barrier in front of the marketplace. For example, Watchuseek, you have to be a member at least 3 months, and you have, I think, 100. You need to have 100 posts, and then you can check the other guy. Let's say there's a profile exactly 3 months and 1 day and 101 posts. And the posts are awesome. Thank you. Great. Then this is a strong warning sign, okay? And then you don't want to make any deals with that particular guy. But as I said, if you have a long-term member with hundreds or thousands of posts and they're realistic, sometimes you see the watch you want to buy in a review from that person, and then 1 year ago, and so you see a realistic story around that watch, and then I think you are rather safe. The problem are although hacked accounts. I saw recently a warning on a board, very, very big. There are some hacked accounts, and this of course is a problem. Then you have simply a criminal in the account of a normal member, and then the member is not aware of that action. And how to deal with that? Yeah, my method, you don't have to copy this, of course. This is only my method, works for me, and you have to decide on your own if you want to copy that, is I want a confirmation of the personality. So I Google the name of the other person, and I want to find his office, for example. I want to find his office with his office number, and then I call the guy in the office and ask, "Hi, I just wanted to check another detail." And if the guy is totally aware of what I'm talking about, then there's no hacked account. But maybe you want to ask more questions then, or you ask for an ID. Let's say you are dealing with 2,000 euros or dollars, and then you want to see his ID. And if he refuses with a deal that size to show his ID, then there's something wrong in my opinion. Or you want an image of the watch together with a paper with your name on, for example. This don't guarantee 100% security, of course, but my experience with criminal, and I have quite some experience with criminal, I must say, is that they are lazy. That they are sometimes lazy, especially if you are dealing in the mid-range, the mid-tier. I mean, Longines flagship, what is it new here? This the price for this watch, I think 1,400 or 13, 12? I don't know, but in that region. And it's, in my eyes, not realistic to assume that a criminal would launch an operation with fake ID and fake passports and fake watch and fake images and fake office address and everything to get in possession of such a watch. This is, of course, different if you want to deal in the 10,000s region, but in the common tier on watch forums, I think it's not realistic that you have such an operation in front of you, okay? My experience is rather that if you ask questions or you show yourself as some complicated person, then the criminal will instantly stop the operation. He will instantly stop messaging to you and to be in contact with you, because there are other fools and he don't want to risk anything with you then. But okay, we have to see those warnings, hacked accounts is a little bit blown out of proportion, because you always hear those stories. You don't hear the stories of the thousands and thousands of deals on a watch forum which went totally well. So bottom line here is, if you want to sell and buy watches on forums, if you want those advantages, then you have to be a part of that forum. I think you have to be a really good part of this community. And this means, of course, that you don't use the forum only to flip watches. And I mean, big recommendation, being part of a good forum is heaven for a watch lover, because there are so many informations and advices and helps, let's say, with parts and contacts to watchmakers, to manufacturers and everything. So it's a very, very valuable experience to be a part of a forum, and then it can be super, super easy to trade or sell or buy watches. And if you are a member of that forum and you're a part of that community, you know your guys, then it's very easy for you to meet other members in person. And then you don't need such advices as, I've heard this once, you should only meet the other guy at a police station next to an armed officer. And I mean, I see the point really, but if you are so uncertain about the other person that you feel the need to be in contact with the police, then don't do it. Don't do the deal. There are other deals out there. This seems totally crazy. If your stomach screams, don't do it, then simply don't do it. And so I personally, restaurant is fine for me, or coffee shop. And if you have a really expensive watch, then maybe you could copy my method from that video. I sold there 3 very expensive watches for a lawyer, tax problem. It's an interesting story. And the method there was meeting in a conference room to check the watch and make everything clear, and payment at the next bank. So we basically walked across the street to the next bank, and the lawyer put the money right in the account, and then the buyer could go away with his watch. So very, very simple, very secure, very safe. Okay, we're close to the end of this video, but I want to present you my Baltic. It's for sale. I've listed it on 2 watch forums, but maybe a viewer likes to buy that watch. Comes with an original box. Only Europe, guys. I'm very sorry. Reason are customs. I've made an entire video about that problem. So only Europe, unfortunately. And yeah, it comes with the original box without papers. And I've bought it for Christmas. Wear it 2 weeks, I think, with a different strap. So this is the original strap, which is unworn. And it's an interesting, beautiful, cool watch, but frankly I have too much watches, so it has to go. The one thing I really like here is the movement. I mean, this is a Chinese movement, and basically it's an old Venus. They copied an old Venus movement from that time, and it's very affordable, but it's so beautiful. I've taken some images of this movement, and every time I feel the need to illustrate on the channel the word movement. I use this thing because it looks so great, so great. It's a really, really nice movement. It's a cool watch, and the price for this new, I think, is now 675 euros, if I recall correctly, and my price is 350. Okay, 350 euros. It's technically it's like new, no scratches, maybe some micro swirls, but very, very few. You need a magnifier to see it. So price 350 euros, including shipping in Europe with full insurance, of course. So if you're interested in buying that watch, then please send me an email, casebackwatches@icloud.com. Okay, that's all for today. I hope I did something useful here. If you have further questions regarding forums or other topics, then please share them in the comments with us. I will read everything, and I try to answer if I know the answer, of course. And if you find my videos useful, helpful, then please consider subscribing. It's very helpful for me. And now let me thank you very much for your attention, and maybe until next time.